Ride along each week as we share proven strategies to strengthen your business, energize your team, and create the business success you've been dreaming about. And now, here's your host, Rich Allen.
Do you and your team live above the line or below the line? Welcome to the Ultimate Business Tune-Up Podcast, where our one and only goal is to help you tune up your business so you can have the long-lasting success and fulfillment that comes from owning a solid, profitable, and sustainable business. Each week we dive deep into a single topic related to improving your business, improving your team engagement, or improving your relationship with your customers. This week I want to talk about a concept and approach to business that has a lot to do with whether you and your business will be successful over the long run. I titled this episode, The Line of Choice, because each day, each hour, and each encounter we have with our team, our customers, our suppliers, or our community at large, we have a choice on how we're going to show up. That's why my question for you this week is, do you and your team live above the line or below the line? You've probably heard these terms before, and if so, this will be a quick refresher for you. But if this concept is new to you, I can assure you that getting a firm grip on the simple concept will have a profound impact on how you show up in life from now on. I was first introduced to the concept of the line of choice over 20 years ago, so this is not a new idea. But I am surprised as I work with business owners and key leaders in business that so many people are not familiar with the concept. Yet everything that we do and the attitude that we bring to the workplace has everything to do with our personal line of choice. Let me explain the concept and give you a few very practical examples of how this one simple concept can make such a huge impact on our business success. The line of choice that I'm referring to has to do with the attitude that we show up with every day. Each day, we show up and live out our life either playing above the line or below the line. Whether you're at home, at work, or on vacation, whether you're a student or a seasoned professional, whether you own a business, work for someone who owns a business, or if you work as a solopreneur. Our attitude and approach to the events, circumstances, people, and situations that we encounter result in our attitude either being positive, or what's called above the line, or negative, what's called below the line. As you can imagine, at our core, we all want to be positive. And if you're like me and most everyone I know, you like hanging around with people who have a positive mindset, a positive disposition, and a positive outlook. When we show up with a positive attitude, it seems like things just naturally go well. We make progress in our work, our relationships are more enjoyable, and our dealings with other people are upbeat and encouraging. I've come to realize that someone who plays above the line shows up with these three specific characteristics. First of all, they take ownership for their situation, whether good or bad. They deal with the situation at hand, recognizing that if they owned it, then they're in a position to do something about it. Rather than look around for someone else to point the finger at, they look first to themselves and think about what they could have done differently or how they can change things to make things better. Ownership is the first and most important characteristic to embrace if you want to be above the line. The second characteristic is being accountable, meaning that if someone's going to be held to a standard or expectation, then it's going to be them. The person who's above the line recognizes that they're the one to be measured by the outcome or the result. The accountable individual never tries to hide the facts or never fudges the numbers. They understand that their personal actions and decisions have a huge impact on the result, whether good or bad. and they are willing to admit it when they've fallen short. And the third characteristic is being responsible for their current situation. They don't look to find someone else to be responsible. They are comfortable with being responsible, and they know that taking responsibility comes with the risks that sometimes things don't go as we hope they would. Being responsible is a mature approach to life. A responsible person knows that they'll get credit when things go well, but that requires that they think through the possible scenarios that could happen that may cause something to go wrong, and they plan accordingly. They don't wait for something to go wrong, then try to find the guilty party who should take the fall. They assume the responsibility for the outcome. Does that make sense to you? Playing above the line means we must take ownership, accountability, and take responsibility. A simple set of behaviors that can transform how we see our circumstances and how we approach our difficulties. Ownership, accountability, and responsibility. The cool part is that if we use this as an acrostic, it spells the word oar, a paddle that we can use to move ourselves forward. No matter what kind of waters we may find ourselves in, if we have an oar with us, we can paddle and move forward. Pretty cool thought, isn't it? But if that's what it means to play above the line, what does it mean to play below the line? I'm sure you've guessed it by now, but it's not good. In fact, it's just not good. It's downright bad. Here's a good way to think about the person that's playing the game of life below the line. Again, 3 characteristics that describe this person. First of all, they blame others anytime that something doesn't go their way. Blame is the telltale sign that someone is playing below the line. It's the opposite of taking ownership. And for many people, it's very easy to do because there are examples all around us of other people placing the blame on others and as a result, getting away without having to take ownership for their own actions or their lack of actions. This started way back when we were kids. I'm sure you were playing with a friend as a little kid and then something gets broken or something gets scratched or something gets lost. Then your mom asks the, "Okay, who did it?" question. And what's our normal reaction? To point to the person who's with us as a way to save our own skin. Come on, I know you did it too. I'm not the only one. But then, as we get older, you see the same things happening all around us, by adults no less. All you have to do is turn on the TV or check your social media feed, and you'll find lots of people placing the blame on someone else. And the scary part is, most people who are doing the blaming are not the ones taking any ownership or doing anything positive to fix or improve the situation. Blame is insidious and much easier than taking ownership. The second characteristic is making excuses. That's right, making excuses goes hand in hand with blaming others. Rather than doing the hard work or making the effort to improve our situation, those who are living below the line simply make excuses. Ever had someone show up late for a meeting? What was the first thing they did when they walked into the room? Chances are they said something like, "The traffic was terrible this morning," or "the kids just wouldn't get moving today," or "I had to stop and drop something off at my neighbor's before I got on the road." What are they doing? Making excuses, of course, when what was the real reason they were late? They didn't give themselves enough time to arrive on time. While they could have taken ownership and have been accountable for their lateness, they found it easier to make an excuse. Ever had a salesperson who didn't hit their sales quota? How did they explain it in the sales meeting? Did they admit that they didn't make enough phone calls or didn't spend enough time prospecting as they should? Or did they suggest that the 2 prospects they expected to close this week are dragging their feet? Are they making excuses or are they being accountable? It's easy to tell once you're tuned into the difference. And the third characteristic is perhaps the most difficult one to change. It's when someone is in denial. They just don't see that the problem has anything to do with them. You may suggest they're making excuses, yet their response is very defensive and they just don't see it the same way. They deny that it's a big deal, or deny that it's their responsibility, or deny that there were other options to be considered. Being in denial is when someone has gone hardcore. It happens a lot in politics. People on the far right can't see the perspective of those on the far left. And people on the far left can't understand why anyone on the far right would take such a position. Does this make sense to you? Playing below the line means you're placing blame on others, making excuses for what went wrong, and being in denial that it has anything to do with them. Blame, excuses, and denial. It's an acrostic that spells bed, which is where someone should stay if they're going to come into the office or show up at your place of work or engage with your customers with a below-the-line attitude. Hopefully you can see why I think this question is so important to our business success. We, as business owners, must show up every day with an or, taking ownership, being accountable, and accepting responsibility. And we should never show up with a below-the-line attitude. If we do, it's far better if we just stay in bed. We can't blame others. We can't make excuses, and we can't be in denial. And even more importantly, we must require those on our team, those who are going to be face-to-face with our customers, to always approach their work playing above the line and never below the line. An easy way to get this point across is when someone does respond to a situation where they either blame someone else or make an excuse or act as if it's not their problem, you can simply ask them, are you above the line or below the line? I started doing this with my kids at the dinner table years ago when I first heard of the concept of the line of choice. When they would come home from school and we'd ask them how the day went, we would often hear how bad the teachers were or how some other kid at school did something and got them in trouble. When I started asking, is that above the line or below the line, they started thinking about their situation differently. And the conversation they had, both in their own head and at the kitchen table, were far more productive and upbeat. What if that were to happen in your business? What if you and your team members stopped allowing conversations that were below the line and you changed them into above the line discussions? Imagine you and everyone on your team with oars in their hand and everyone paddling forward. Everyone taking ownership, being accountable, and taking responsibility. Your business would knock the socks off of any competitor, and your customers would be telling everyone how special and unique your team was. Let's make this our new reality. Stop allowing below-the-line behaviors and start encouraging everyone to play above the line. It not only will make your business more successful, but you'll have more fun doing it. As always, if you have specific questions or would like to bounce around some thoughts on this topic, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. How we show up every day and what we allow from our team members is a critical part of our business formula for success. Use the line of choice to your advantage. If you need help, just ask. And play above the line by sharing this podcast episode with your fellow business owners. We could all use a lot more above the line behavior and a lot less below the line behavior, even from your toughest competitors. Let's make it a fair fight by all of us playing above the line. Thanks for joining me today. Be sure to tune in next week when we're going to discuss 4 elements of transformation. You won't want to miss it. Meanwhile, if you have a question, suggestion, or would simply like to connect, shoot me an email at rich@tourtoprofit.com. Now go make it a great week, and whatever you do, ride hard.
Thank you for listening to the Ultimate Business Tune-Up. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, find more resources at tourtoprofit.com and connect with Rich by sending a message to rich@tourtoprofit.com. Until next time, ride hard.